Alright, so what's going on, guys? My name's Chopper, and I hope everybody is doing well. Welcome back, everybody, to another video, and today we're going to be talking about the top 5 biggest mistakes that PUBG has made. And to be a little bit more clear about what I mean, this is just anything that they've done to the overall gameplay that I think affected the game negatively. Now, I don't want this video to come off as me just bashing PUBG's updates for its natural progression and how it's evolved over time, but it is interesting to look at the changes that they have made to the game and decide if some of these were made in error or not, and maybe provide a solution for these as well. And as always, if you want to be in the cool kids club, make sure to leave a like rating on the video. I'd appreciate that a lot. And make sure that you are subscribed if you're new to the channel if you want to see more videos like this. I have PUBG content coming out almost every single day. And I also want you to let me know in the comment section, what is the biggest mistake in your opinion that PUBG has made? Maybe it's something that I mentioned on this list or something that I had never even thought of doing, as this game has gone through, years plus worth of updates and changes. There's got to be something that maybe you didn't agree with or you think that affected the game negatively. Whatever that is, let me know in the comment section. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get to this list of the top 5 biggest mistakes that PUBG has made. So coming in today at the number 5 spot is the loot balance on Vikendi, and I think that this is something that most players agree is a problem right now in the game. Vikendi's loot is very different to all of the other maps, and I mean, that's kind of their intention when they designed the loot balance for this map. Like, for example, they put level 3 helmets as a spawn here, they increased the spawn rate of level 3 vests and smoke grenades and that kind of thing. Different equipment spawn at different rates as compared to the other maps, but the problem is the actual weapon meta itself is the brokenest part of this. So the issue that I think what it comes down to is the map design does not match the loot. I think that if you take the Vikendi loot, it may work better in Sanhok, but I'm not saying that that would be a good option because, in my opinion, Sanhok is the only map that has correctly balanced like weapon loot and everything like that. Vikendi's problem is that there's vast amounts of open space that would be perfect for DMRs and sniping, but there's a severe lack of snipers and an abundance of SMGs. And there's micro Uzis and Tommy guns galore. And my personal theory is that I think that some of these SMGs are placeholders for when the PP Bison comes to the game, and some of these are going to be mixed in with the micro Uzis and Tommy guns and stuff like that. But they need to have, I guess, increased spawn rates if they want people using the new gun, but it's not ready yet, so they have to put a placeholder there. You get the idea, but I hope that changes soon, but there are just not enough DMRs to go around right now. So pretty much what ends up happening is that players aren't satisfied without getting a DMR or something for longer range in the game, so you spend significantly more time looting, and for most players who don't end up finding DMRs, they're not satisfied with that, so they just take a scope and put it on an assault rifle and just make a scuffed version of it, you know what I'm saying? And you can tell that this is a pretty big problem when you go and loot people, or you loot yourself just for a little bit in some more popular areas, and it's pretty likely that if you don't find a DMR, you'll still probably have all of the attachments for one. You'll have the mag, you'll have the compensator, suppressor, whatever for it. You have all the things to fully kit out an SKS or an SLR or whatever, but you don't have the actual gun itself. And even if you get a couple kills and loot some people, they might not have it either. When we tried out Vikendi for the first time on the test servers, I really thought that this was going to be fixed when the full map release came out, but the loot seemed to be completely unchanged, and that's concerning. So I hope Bluehole hears this and we get a little bit of tweaks made to this, because it'd make the map so much more enjoyable. But moving along here, and coming in today at the number 4 spot is going to be Rainy Games. Now this is going to be controversial because there's a large amount of the player base that enjoys these kinds of games, and honestly, man, all power to you if you enjoy playing in this kind of setting, but I don't, and for one particular reason alone. It takes a pretty important mechanic of this game that literally can determine whether you win or lose and almost nullifies it, and I'll get into that in just a second, but just a little bit of a recap on the Rain games. These were pretty popular when PUBG first came out, and I believe they're on every map technically except Vikendi. I know there is a version of Rain on Miramar, but I haven't played Miramar in God knows how long, so I don't even know if it's really still a functioning feature, but Rain games appear in every map, and they're kind of like at different intensities and different varieties from match to match as well. But the biggest problem with Rain games, in my opinion, is that it takes a very important mechanic of PUBG, the footsteps and gunshots, being able to track people, just using sound in general, and almost takes all of that away just because the rain is so loud in most of the maps. And if you're going to take away that big of a factor in determining how you're going to play PUBG, then really what's the point? That'd be like if I were to ask you, hey, I need you to go pick up some groceries, but you have to do it all without using shopping bags. I know the analogy is not one-to-one, but you get what I'm trying to say. You know the point that I want to make, right? You have this functioning thing and you take away one critical mechanic of it, and it just doesn't make sense as to why you would take that out. They have scaled the rain game backs quite a lot, which I appreciate. They do come up from time to time, so I don't really mind them when they do appear. It's just you gotta play a little bit differently, but I'm certainly happy that they don't appear like very often at all. If you do enjoy rain games, that's absolutely fine, man. Like, just enjoy it, but I just want to know exactly what your reasoning is, why you maybe prefer to play that way than in clear skies. But moving on here, and coming in today at the number 3 spot is removing the ability to use the 8x scope on assault rifles. And I've harped on this quite a bit in past videos, so you might have already heard my spiel about this before, but I'm going to go through it again. The 8x scope is the only one that cannot be attached to ARs. It's specifically for DMRs and snipers, and it does make sense as to why they want to have it like that, but I also don't think it's a problem if they did give us the ability to put them on assault rifles. I think the reason they removed this ability is, you might remember back in the day of PUBG, the M16 was probably the most god tier, like, common spawn assault rifle. It was amazing, and people were using the 8x M16 just to cheese like really long range kills. It was pretty much better than all the DMRs at that point, and it was extremely overpowered. I'm not even going to deny that, but I think the problem was within the M16 itself and not the scope, so they completely eliminated the ability to put the scope on it, and they also nerfed the M16 into the ground, pretty much where it is today. It's just really not that good at all. But I don't think that that was the core issue. And really, when you think about it, there's not that much of a difference of using the 6x scope on an assault rifle rather than using an 8x. You get, I guess, a little bit more magnification, but it's significantly harder to shoot that distance and actually be practical with it with an AR. And I mean, if you're going to get that distance, a 6x is probably going to do the job as well. It's a classic example of players taking advantage of a broken meta or a cheese kind of thing in their game and having a knee-jerk reaction to it and having an overreactionary nerf to whatever that thing was. And it's not like I'm sitting here salty every day that I can't put an 8x on my AR. Like, I really don't care that much. It's just, now that that kind of issue has been patched and smoothed out, just maybe give us back the privilege to put on an 8x on an AR. I don't think it would really change the meta or make anything unbalanced, I don't think. It's possible I could be coming from a biased standpoint, so I want to know what you guys think in the comments. Give me your feedback on that issue. But moving on here, and coming in today at the number 2 spot is the blue zone change that they completely backpedaled on just so quickly after. Now, if you remember this, then you'll know exactly how quickly they took back what they did. A while back, PUBG wanted to tweak and change about how the blue zone works, you know, how fast the actual zone moves itself and how much damage it does, and they wanted to make it a little bit more in line with the competitive esports rules, as they thought that players would like that a little bit more. You know, you'd be dying to the blue less basically, but it would force players together. And the way they did this was decrease the speed of the blue zone, but like increase the lethality. So you would die quicker if you were in the blue, but it moved a lot slower so you could outrun it or make sure that you could outpace it in some way. And I can't make this up, less than 48 hours after that change was made, they took it back and were like, JK, that didn't actually happen. They pretty much brushed it under the rug for anybody who was asking them about it or calling them out or whatever. They just didn't talk about it at all from the rest of the time, and I don't know exactly why that was. I know some people in the community didn't like it and they made their voices heard, but normally when that happens in a game, they just leave it in and they make the players get accustomed to it. And I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I actually really liked the change. I was okay with it, but I knew deep down that the average or casual player would really not like this as a change. So regardless, I think it's pretty much considered right now that this was a big mistake that PUBG made, and I don't think we're gonna ever see them try this again. But ladies and gentlemen, before we unveil our number 1 spot for today, I would like to give an honorable mention to another big mistake. And this has to be their attention to detail and the focus on the vehicles of Sanhok. I'm gonna keep it a whole band with you, Chief. Basically, not a single person on Earth uses the vehicles on Sanhok. Alright, admittedly, I might be over-exaggerating a little bit, but this doesn't take away from the fact that they've probably put the most time and effort into creating unique and fun vehicles for Sanhok, but it's also the easiest map just to travel by foot, and it's in your best interest to travel by foot as well. If you're gonna focus on any map's vehicles, probably Erangel could benefit from it the most, or maybe even Miramar, but they already have some pretty cool ones in Miramar anyways. Maybe even Vikendi, I know they're adding some to it, but Sanhok is just the one where players tend to travel by foot most of all, and there's vehicles galore, but they just hardly ever get any playtime. So the focus on adding new ones and making ones that are themed for it, it just kind of felt like a little bit of a waste to me. But finally, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've all been waiting for, unveiling our number 1 spot as the biggest mistake that, in my opinion, PUBG has made. This is going to be the removal of the M24 out of airdrops and the consequential nerf that came with it. So if you weren't aware, of course, the M24 was taken out of drops a while back and put in as a common spawn, but also what you may not have known is that it did catch a bit of a nerf, so it got a little bit weaker. Now, this change was made around the time when they took the level 3 helmets out of common spawn respawn and put them in drops only, and I think overall as a change that was positive. It rewards people for using bolt action snipers a little bit more and rewards those who can shoot with those. But the issue I have is that since you can find the M24 wherever now, and it's just as common, maybe if not more than the Kar 98, it makes the Kar 98K just scuffed and just not something that people want to go after, because the M24 statistically is better in every single way. There's no downside that the Kar 98 does something better, other than maybe if you're more familiar with the gun, but that's not an actual statistical thing. It's just better. So what I think what it comes down to is that it made the M24 itself less special to begin with, and it also made the Kar 98 just pointless. And I feel like the only real way to fix that is nerf the M24 even further, so that maybe it does something less effective than the Kar 98, so that there is a reason to run one over the other, or maybe add a new sniper to the airdrops that we haven't previously seen. That'll just kind of even the playing field a little bit, but it's just, I don't like how it overshines and just completely shadows the Kar 98 in every way. It doesn't feel right to me, and I hope something changes about that, but I do consider that as one of the biggest mistakes that they've made as far as just gun balance and changes to this game. But let me know your opinions on that in the comment section down below, and also let me know your opinions on just anything that PUBG has changed that you possibly may or may not have agreed with, and let me know why that is. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you coming out. I'm still in the process of getting moved and everything, so uploads are still going to continue to be a little bit slow, but I am working as hard as I can to get back on a regular upload schedule, and I'll be back to streaming and everything like that very soon. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter for updates and everything. Link will be down below in the description, and I will see you all on the next live stream or the next video. Take it easy, guys, and peace out.